They thought I was gone forever, a shadow from the past that would never return. But when I walked into my sister's wedding after 11 long years, every smile froze, every whisper turned into silence. The same family that had once stolen, my future now stood in shock, staring at me as if I was a ghost. None of them knew who I had become, and the truth I carried was bigger than anything they could imagine. Before we continue, don't forget to hit like, share this video, and subscribe for more shocking stories that will keep you hooked till the very end. I was Helena, the forgotten daughter, the girl whose college fund was ripped away to pay for my sister Grace's bright future. They had laughed when I cried, mocked me when I begged for a chance, and tossed me aside as if my dreams meant nothing. That day, my parents told me, "You'll never be more than a burden," and their words cut deeper than any knife. But what they didn't know was that I had already decided, if they wanted me gone, I'd disappear. But I'd come back stronger than they ever imagined. For years, I lived with that betrayal burning inside me. But instead of letting it destroy me, I used it as fuel. While Grace traveled abroad with my stolen dreams, posting pictures of luxury, vacations, and her new expensive degree, I was working 3 jobs just to survive. I cleaned offices at night, waited tables during the day, and coded websites on a broken laptop in between shifts. No one believed in me. Strangers sneered, relatives gossiped, and even old friends avoided me like I was a failure, but I stayed silent. I never complained, never asked for help. I built my strength in the shadows, knowing that one day, they would all see what I had become. The turning point came when a small tech project I started for extra cash suddenly exploded in popularity. What began as a side hustle turned into $1 million company in just 5 years. By year 10, I wasn't just surviving. I was leading one of the fastest growing firms in the country. My name was whispered in boardrooms. My face appeared in business magazines, but my family never knew. They thought I was still that helpless girl they had thrown away. And now, here I was, walking into Grace's wedding, dressed in elegance they couldn't even afford, holding secrets that could shatter their pride in a single moment. Their shocked eyes followed me as I smiled calmly. But inside, I was reliving every night of hunger, every day of humiliation. They had no idea that the girl they mocked for being worthless now owned more than all of them combined. Grace's smile froze the moment she saw me, her bouquet trembling slightly in her hands. Whispers spread across the wedding hall like wildfire, guests nudging each other, trying to figure out who I was. My parents stiffened in their seats, and my brother's jaw dropped as if he'd seen a ghost. For 11 years, they had written me off as nothing. In their minds, I was still that weak, abandoned girl who disappeared without a fight. But standing there in my designer gown, with confidence in every step, I was no longer the Helena they once crushed. Grace tried to laugh it off, forcing her voice to sound cheerful. "Helena, oh my God, you actually came," she said, her tone dripping with fake surprise. My mother followed quickly. "We didn't think you'd make it. After all, life hasn't been too kind to you, has it?" Their words weren't a welcome. They were daggers, meant to remind me of the pain they once caused. Some guests chuckled, under their breath, feeding off the tension, enjoying the spectacle of the forgotten sister returning like an uninvited shadow. But I didn't flinch. I simply walked to the front, every movement calm and deliberate, as if I owned the entire room. My father cleared his throat, muttering loud enough for the crowd. "Well, at least she showed up. Maybe she can finally see what real success looks like." That single line sent a wave of smug laughter rolling through their side of the family. They thought they were humiliating me again, dragging me into another public scene. What they didn't know was that the very hall they were sitting in, the luxury venue they bragged about booking, was owned by me. Every light above them, every polished marble tile beneath their feet, all of it carried my signature. and I was seconds away from revealing it in a way they would never forget. Grace lifted her chin high, as if she was the queen of the night, while my parents paraded me like I was nothing more than an uninvited guest. "You see, Helena," my father said with a smirk, "this is what happens when you don't listen to your family. Grace has everything, a husband, wealth, status, and you have nothing." Laughter burst out at the table behind him, fueled by his arrogance. They thought they had trapped me again in the same corner they left me years ago. I leaned forward, my voice steady but sharp enough to cut through their mockery. "Are you sure about that?" I asked, letting silence. "Follow my words." The guests turned their heads, curiosity thick in the air. Grace scoffed, whispering to her groom, "She's just jealous. She probably showed up here to beg for attention." My mother clapped her hands dramatically, pretending pity. "Don't ruin your sister's big day with your bitterness, Helena. Be happy for her for once." I smiled, calm, almost too calm, and pulled my phone from my clutch. With a single swipe, the massive LED screen behind the couple flickered to life. Gasps filled the room as slides of my companies, international awards, and headlines showcasing my billion-dollar empire appeared one after the other. "This venue you're bragging about?" I continued, my voice carrying through the microphone I had quietly arranged with the event staff. "It belongs to me. Every corner you're standing in tonight is mine. And for the record, I wasn't invited. I allowed you to be here." The silence that followed was deafening. My father's face turned pale. Grace nearly dropped her bouquet, and guests who had laughed at me seconds ago were now staring with wide eyes. The balance of power had shifted in an instant, and they all knew there was no going back. My father slammed his hand on the table, his voice shaking with anger. "This is ridiculous. You're lying, Helena. You could never build something like this." But his words sounded weak, desperate, because everyone could see the proof flashing on the screen behind him. Guests were whispering, phones out, some even searching my name in real time. Gasps rose louder when article after article confirmed it. Helena, the forgotten daughter, had become one of the most powerful businesswomen in the country. Grace tried to salvage her pride, clinging to her groom's arm. "So what? Money doesn't change the fact that you're still alone. We have family. We have love." Her voice cracked mid-sentence, and I stepped closer, my eyes fixed on hers. "Family?" I repeated, my tone cold. "The same family that threw me out when I had nothing. The same sister who stole my opportunities and mocked my failures." Grace froze, her mask slipping as the room turned against her. My mother stood, her voice trembling but still cruel. "We only did what was best. You were weak. Grace deserved the future. You didn't." Her confession cut through the air like glass shattering. Guests gasped. The groom's family exchanged horrified looks, and Grace's new in-laws pulled away from her, disgust written all over their faces. Everything they had tried to hide for years was spilling out in the most public way possible. I didn't need to raise my voice. I simply said, "The weak girl you abandoned now owns the empire you can only dream of. And tonight, in your perfect wedding, the truth finally belongs to me." The hall erupted, not in laughter this time, but in stunned silence broken by applause from guests who admired the sheer audacity of my stand. The clapping grew louder, echoing through the hall, and for the first time in 11 years, I felt the weight of every scar lift off my shoulders. My father sank back into his chair, his head in his hands, powerless in front of the truth. Grace's groom slowly removed his arm from her grip, his expression filled with disgust as he whispered something to his parents. Her perfect fairy tale was crumbling right there at the altar. My mother stared at me with wide, tearful eyes, but I saw no regret, only fear of losing the image she had spent years protecting. I took a deep breath and faced them one last time. You wanted me gone so Grace could shine. You mocked me, erased me, and told the world I was nothing. But the girl you left behind built herself into everything you could never be. And tonight, I didn't come for revenge. I came to show you that I survived without you, and I will continue to thrive without you. The applause turned into a standing ovation, with guests rising to their feet, cheering and clapping. Grace stood frozen, her wedding dress no longer making her look like a queen, but like a child caught in her lies. I handed the microphone back, smiled gracefully, and walked out of the hall with my head held high. The night air outside felt different, lighter, freer, like I had finally closed the door on the past. As I stepped into the waiting car, I realized something. They could no longer hurt me, because I no longer needed them. My story wasn't about them anymore. It was about me. And that was the sweetest ending of all. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, because stories like these remind us, no matter how much people try to bury you, one day, you can rise higher than they ever imagined. Helena's story reminds us that silence and perseverance are more powerful than arguments. When her family mocked her, abandoned her, and celebrated her sister while erasing her existence, she chose not to fight back with words. Instead, she worked in silence, building her empire brick by brick until the day came when her success spoke louder than any insult. The real lesson is simple. Never let others define your worth. Keep pushing, keep believing, and let your results do the talking, because true success always silences every voice of doubt.